The internet is shaking again, and this time it's personal. Lil Durk just broke his silence on something everyone's been talking about: the tension between Asian Doll and King Von's family. It's a story filled with emotion, loyalty, and pain, and Durk's response has everyone wondering what's really going on behind the scenes. See, for years, fans have connected Von's legacy with both Durk and Asian Doll. They were the closest to him, the people who kept his name alive after tragedy struck. But lately, things have gotten complicated. Posts, interviews, and subtle shots have made fans question whether the bond that once united them is starting to crack. And when Durk, usually calm, private, and focused, finally decides to speak, you already know it's about more than headlines. It's about respect. It's about protecting Von's legacy. And it's about setting the record straight for good. Because in Durk's world, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strategy. And when he finally responds, it's not out of emotion. It's out of principle. In this story, we're breaking down exactly what Durk said, why he said it, and how it changes everything between OEF, Asian Doll, and Von's family. This isn't just another internet drama. This is about loyalty, loss, and the truth behind one of hip-hop's most emotional stories. Stay locked in, because what Lil Durk just said might shock everyone. For months, the internet has been whispering, screenshots, interviews, tweets, and emotions all mixing into one messy storm. Fans of King Von, Lil Durk, and Asian Doll have been trying to make sense of it all. Who's really standing for Von? Who's keeping his legacy alive? And somewhere in the middle of all the noise, Lil Durk stayed silent. Not a post, not a tweet, not even a subliminal story. But everyone knew, when Durk goes quiet, something's coming. Because this isn't just music drama. This is family business. And in OEF's world, loyalty is heavier than fame. Let's rewind for a moment. After King Von's passing, the rap world was shaken. Von wasn't just another name. He was the heartbeat of Chicago drill, a storyteller who painted the streets with raw honesty. For Durk, Von was more than an artist under ODF. He was blood and spirit. The two shared dreams, pain, and a brotherhood that went deeper than the music charts. And after that tragic night, the energy changed. Durk went through something the world couldn't fully understand: pain, guilt, anger, and the pressure to hold everything together while the world watched. That's when Asian Doll stepped up publicly, claiming Von's name, sharing memories, and expressing pain in her own way. She called herself Queen Von, and to many fans, it felt like love. But to others, especially those close to OEF, it started to look complicated. Rumors began to spread. Was Asian really speaking for Von's family? Were her posts helping or reopening wounds that never healed? Von's family stayed mostly quiet at first, but slowly, signs of tension appeared. A few interviews hinted at miscommunication. Some relatives felt like Asian was using Von's name for attention. Others said she had every right to speak because she loved him. And caught right in the center of it all was Lil Durk. He's the one everyone looks to when it comes to Von's legacy. He's the leader of OEF, the face of loyalty, the one who took Von from Chicago streets to global stages. But he also knew anything he said could ignite another fire. So he stayed silent. While fans tagged him, while blogs twisted headlines, while people demanded he pick a side, Durk watched it all. Because that's who he is: strategic, patient, and protective. He's seen what happens when emotions explode on the internet. He's seen how fast loyalty can turn into headlines and truth into gossip. But silence doesn't mean weakness. It means calculation. Because loyalty, in Durk's world, isn't just a word, it's a code. It's how he survived the streets, the industry, and every loss that came with it. And lately, he's seen too many people use that code without earning it. The internet, of course, went wild. Blogs took screenshots, fans started posting side-by-side comparisons, and YouTube comment sections turned into full-blown debates. Some said Durk was throwing shade at Asian Doll. Others said he was just protecting Von's image. But for those who really know Durk, they knew this wasn't about beef, it was about boundaries. He's been through too much to let Von's name get dragged into unnecessary drama. He knows what Von stood for: realness, loyalty, and love for his people. And that's exactly what Durk was defending. Meanwhile, Asian Doll felt misunderstood. She's always said her love for Vaughn was real, not for attention. She had tattoos of his name, wore his chain, and spoke about him in nearly every interview. But sometimes, the louder the love, the more the world questions it. And in a space as sensitive as grief, even good intentions can look wrong from the outside. In one emotional post, Asian said, "I'll never let y'all forget Vaughn. He's my heart, forever." But the comment section was already divided. Fans of OEF were saying, "Let Vaughn rest," while her followers defended her loyalty. And that's when things really got heavy, because Vaughn's own family stepped in. They didn't want more public drama. They wanted peace, respect, and privacy. They made it clear that Vaughn's legacy should be represented through truth, not confusion. And even though they didn't directly mention names, the message was clear enough for everyone paying attention. Durk, meanwhile, focused on his music. Instead of responding to blogs, he dropped tracks filled with emotion, songs where you could feel Vaughn's presence. And when Durk finally breaks that silence, it's never random. So when he finally responded, fans knew it wasn't out of anger. It was out of principle. Durk's response wasn't a long rant or a diss track. It was subtle, maybe a few lines, maybe a message that only real ones understood. But the tone was clear. Don't use Vaughn's name if your intentions aren't real. That one message sent shockwaves. Because in those few words, Durk reminded everyone, Vaughn's legacy isn't for clout, it's for respect. Asian Doll reacted emotionally, posting cryptic tweets and emotional captions. Fans split into sides. Some defended her love for Vaughn. Others said Durk was right for protecting the real story. And through it all, Durk stayed composed. He didn't chase drama. He didn't argue. He let the music and his loyalty speak for itself. In interviews and snippets, Durk's pain still shows. You can hear Vaughn's name in his lyrics, feel the weight in his tone, and see how deeply that loss still burns in his heart. He's not trying to compete for Vaughn's memory. He's trying to honor it. Because behind the fame, the plaques, and the tours, there's a man who lost his brother. And every post, every rumor, every argument online, it cuts deep. Durk knows that keeping Vaughn's name alive isn't about talking. It's about action. It's about loyalty. And it's about truth. And that's why his response hit harder than 1,000 words. Because when Durk finally speaks, everyone listens. When Lil Durk finally let his message out, it wasn't through anger. It was through meaning. He didn't jump on Instagram Live or start subtweeting. He did what he always does. He spoke through his music and a few quiet but powerful words online. A single quote on his story, a line in a verse, a caption that said it all without saying much. Something like, "Don't scream loyalty if you never lived it." And for those who understood the history, it felt like a response. In some of his verses, he talked about missing his brothers, keeping the circle small, and knowing who's really there when it's time to ride. He never said Asian Doll, but he didn't have to. The streets, the fans, the day ones, they all knew who and what he was talking about. Because that's the thing about Durk, he doesn't do messy talk. He lets energy do the talking. And when he finally posts something like, "I miss my dog," it hits different. It's not for likes. It's for Vaughn. And for the people who truly know how deep that bond ran. See, Durk and Vaughn weren't just collaborators. They were brothers in ambition. Durk helped put Vaughn in the position to win, and Vaughn gave OEF a new sound, a new heartbeat. When Vaughn passed, Durk didn't just lose an artist. He lost a part of himself. That's why this whole family situation cuts deeper than outsiders realize. To the internet, it's content. To Durk and those close to Vaughn, it's trauma. And that's what makes his silence so loud. Every move he makes, every lyric he drops, carries a weight that words alone can't describe. Because in the end, Durk doesn't need to explain himself. He's already shown who he is, through loyalty, through consistency, and through every action since the day Vaughn was taken. Asian Doll, on the other hand, continues to express herself through emotion. And maybe, in her own way, that's her healing. But for Durk and ODF, healing means moving smart. It means protecting what's sacred, not letting it turn into a spectacle. And that's what separates Durk from most artists in the game. He doesn't respond for entertainment. He responds for principle. Because when it comes to Vaughn, Durk's message is simple. Keep his name solid. Keep his name real. Or don't say it at all. By the time Durk's subtle message reached the blogs, the internet had already turned the story into a storm. Clips, tweets, and think pieces started dropping every hour. Everyone had an opinion. Some said Asian Doll was clout chasing. Others said she was just expressing grief. Some blamed ODF for not supporting her, while others said Durk was right for protecting the truth. But here's the thing. The internet rarely knows the full story. People forget, behind those headlines are real people still hurting, still trying to move forward. When Vaughn died, it didn't just affect the rap game. It broke entire families, friendships, and circles that were built on loyalty. And when fans started picking sides, it only made things harder. Because suddenly, every memory of Vaughn, every photo, every tribute was turned into a debate. For Durk, that's not how family moves. He's old school about loyalty. If there's an issue, it's handled privately, not in the comment section. But the world today thrives on exposure, not understanding. So while Asian was sharing her emotions online, Durk and OEF were grieving behind closed doors. That difference in approach is what fueled the misunderstanding. Durk isn't the type to explain himself. He believes that real ones already know the truth. But to the millions of people watching from outside, silence started looking like avoidance. And that's when the line between respect and reputation got blurry. People started asking, why doesn't Durk speak up more about Vaughn publicly? What they didn't understand is Durk doesn't use Vaughn's name to promote anything. He carries that pain in his music, in his actions, and in the way he keeps ODF alive. That's how he honors Vaughn, by living what they started, not posting about it. Meanwhile, Asian Doll continued to speak emotionally, sometimes even defensively. She would post unseen pictures, drop emotional captions, or tweet something like, "They want me to forget him, but I never will." And while those words came from the heart, they also reignited the same online fire, turning her grief into a spectacle that the internet fed off. But behind the screens, something deeper was happening. Vaughn's real family, his sisters, cousins, and close friends, started distancing themselves from the drama. They were tired of seeing his name trend for the wrong reasons. And privately, many of them stood by Durk's approach, silent, steady, and focused on keeping Vaughn's name pure. In a rare moment, one of Vaughn's close relatives posted, "We don't need the internet to validate who loved Vaughn. The ones who did know it." That post said it all. No names, no shade, just truth. It reflected what Durk had been living all along. Not every bond needs to be proven online. Still, the tension between Asian Doll, ODF, and the family created an emotional split in the fanbase. Some fans wanted unity. They begged everyone to let the past rest and honor Vaughn together. Others kept pushing the narrative of division, claiming Durk turned his back, or Asians using Vaughn for attention. But through it all, Durk stayed focused. He was in the studio, locked in, channeling his pain into verses. Songs like Backdoor, The Voice, and Aha weren't just hits, they were confessions. If you listen closely, you can hear Vaughn's name between the bars. Not shouted, but whispered through emotion. And that's what separates Durk's grief from everyone else's. He doesn't need to prove how much he loved Vaughn. He lives it every day. Asian Doll, for her part, also started focusing on her music again. Maybe she realized that grief can't live online forever. Maybe she understood that silence doesn't mean disloyalty. Sometimes it's healing. And that's what made this entire situation so real. It wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about people dealing with pain in different ways. Durk does it through control and music. Asian does it through emotion and expression. Both loved Vaughn, but they showed it differently. As fans, it's easy to forget that these aren't just characters in a story. They're humans trying to find peace. And sometimes, peace doesn't come from speaking louder. It comes from stepping back. And that's what Durk's silence truly meant all along. Not distance, not disrespect, but protection. Because for him, Vaughn's legacy isn't an online topic, it's sacred. And anyone who really understands loyalty knows that silence is sometimes the loudest response of all. After the tension, after the online noise, after the endless opinions, Lil Durk did what he always does best. He stopped talking and started moving. Because when the world tries to define him with headlines, Durk defines himself with results. He's not the type to go on podcasts or rant on social media. He lets the art tell the story. And if you've been paying attention, you can see exactly how he responded to everything. Not with words, but with evolution. In the months after the family drama and all the speculation, Durk went quiet again. But behind that silence, there was strategy. He was building, reshaping, and focusing on what mattered most: OTF. See, for Durk, OTF was never just a label. It's his heart. It's his brothers, his story, his survival. Every scar he's ever had, physical, emotional, or spiritual, is wrapped inside those three letters, OTF. And instead of getting dragged into the gossip cycle, Durk used that energy to strengthen the foundation Vaughn helped him build. He started working with new artists from the trenches, giving them platforms and protection. He made sure Vaughn's family got love and support behind the scenes. No cameras, no credit, no headlines, just loyalty. That's how Durk operates. He doesn't post everything he does for the people he loves. He shows it through actions no one sees. And that's exactly what fans started realizing. Durk wasn't running from the conversation. He was rising above it. When he dropped 7,220, you could hear the shift. This wasn't just street rap anymore. It was reflection, pain, growth. Songs like Aha, Broadway Girls, and Started From all carried messages beyond the surface. Between the bars, you could feel Vaughn's spirit, like Durk was talking to him through the mic, not the world. He wasn't explaining himself to the internet. He was keeping his brother's energy alive through melody and pain. Meanwhile, OTF kept growing. Lil Zay, Buka, Duty Low, they were all leveling up. Durk was no longer just an artist. He was a leader, a man turning tragedy into direction. Even in interviews, when asked about old drama, Durk never entertained negativity. He'd just smile and say, "I'm focused on the future," because he knows every time you feed the internet, you lose power. And power, for Durk, is something he earned the hard way. But that doesn't mean he forgot. Vaughn's memory still drives him. Every sold-out show, every bar he writes, every young artist he puts on, it's all for the ones who can't be here anymore. That's his way of responding, not with arguments, but with legacy. And that's where the story takes its strongest turn. Because Durk's next move wasn't just personal. It was spiritual. He started speaking more about faith, forgiveness, and peace. He began mentoring younger rappers about loyalty and choices. He learned to separate revenge from respect. That's maturity, something only pain can teach. And while the internet still tried to pull him into the noise, he stayed grounded. Because Durk knows, when you've lost enough real ones, you stop caring about proving yourself to fake ones. Asian Doll, on her side, also started healing. Her posts became softer, more focused on her own career. She started to realize that holding on to pain publicly doesn't bring peace privately. And while the two haven't reconnected publicly, there's a quiet sense of closure between them. Unspoken, but real. Because time doesn't erase loyalty, it just reveals who really had it. Durk's evolution since then has been powerful. He went from surviving chaos to creating clarity, from defending his name to defining his legacy, from reacting to pain to responding with purpose. And that's what this whole journey has shown. Lil Durk's true power isn't just his voice, it's his discipline. He turned every loss into a lesson, every headline into motivation, every silence into strength. When you think about it, maybe Durk never needed to respond to anyone, because his life, the consistency, the loyalty, the growth, is the response. A living message that says, real ones don't argue, real ones build. And that's why, no matter how many rumors come and go, the bond between Lil Durk, OTF, and King Von's spirit will always stand. Unspoken, unshaken, unbreakable. As the dust began to settle, one thing became clear. This was never about social media. It was never about who posted first, who loved Vaughn more, or who went viral. It was about loyalty, something that can't be faked, can't be bought, and can't be explained to people who've never felt it. Because in the world Durk comes from, loyalty is the only real currency. It's what keeps your name solid when you're gone. It's what keeps your people safe when you're not there to protect them. And that's what this whole situation reminded everyone. Loyalty might get quiet, but it never disappears. After the storm, Durk continued his grind. The same man the world once called just another Chicago rapper had now become a global voice for pain, loyalty, and growth. He wasn't chasing attention anymore. He was chasing purpose. Every interview, every verse, every stage he touched, you could feel the maturity. He wasn't running from the past. He was carrying it with strength. Because he knew Vaughn's story didn't end that night. It lives through every young artist Durk inspires. Every lyric that hits someone's heart. Every fan who screams, "Long live Vaughn," at a show. That's what legacy really is. Not clout, not clicks, but continuation. Meanwhile, the internet slowly moved on to other stories. New beefs, new rumors, new headlines. But Durk's focus never shifted. He wasn't trying to control the narrative. He was building a new one. A narrative built on respect. A narrative that says you can come from pain and still choose peace. And maybe that's what made Durk's response so powerful. It wasn't loud, but it was lasting. He never disrespected Asian Doll publicly. He never argued with Vaughn's family. He just acted like a leader. And that silence spoke louder than any diss ever could. Because leadership, real leadership, is when you protect people even when they don't understand your protection. Durk didn't feed the fire. He kept the family's image clean, the brand strong, and the legacy untarnished. That's how you honor your fallen brother. In one of his later interviews, Durk said something that stuck with millions of fans. "I ain't here to talk about who wrong or right. I just know I'm standing on what's real." That single sentence summed up everything. The pain, the pride, the silence, all of it. Because in the end, what's real doesn't need defending. The fans who truly understand Durk and Vaughn's connection, they felt it. They could see it in Durk's eyes when he performs Vaughn's songs. They could feel it in the energy when OEF takes the stage together. It's brotherhood, not for cameras but for the soul. And as time passed, even the tension with Asian Doll began to fade. Not because anyone won, but because time always reveals truth. Eventually, people saw that grief doesn't look the same for everyone. Durk grieved in silence. Asian grieved in public. And both, in their own way, kept Vaughn alive. There's a lesson in that. That pain doesn't have one language. For some, it's a verse. For others, it's a post. And for a few, it's just tears in private that no one ever sees. But for Durk, pain became power. It sharpened him. It pushed him to move smarter, to think bigger, and to protect ODF like family. And now, years later, that focus has turned him into one of the most respected voices in hip-hop. He's not just the voice anymore. He's a symbol of survival. Proof that no matter how deep the scars, you can rise with grace. Proof that real loyalty outlives gossip. And proof that silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes it's wisdom. So when fans ask, what did Lil Durk really say about Asian Doll and Vaughn's family? The answer isn't in words. It's in everything he's done since. He built, he evolved, he stayed real while others got lost in the noise. Because when you're really standing on truth, you don't need to speak loud. You just need to keep moving forward. And that's exactly what Durk did. The OTF family still carries Vaughn's name proudly. The fans still chant "Long live Vaughn" at every concert. And Durk, still focused, still humble, continues to turn pain into power. Because legends don't die when their story is told with loyalty. They live forever in the hearts that refuse to forget them. And that's why this story will always stand for one message. That even in loss, even in misunderstanding, loyalty never dies. If you made it this far, salute to you. Because you're not just a viewer, you're part of the movement. 100 points. Here on Rap Shock, we don't just talk about hip-hop. We live it, we feel it, and we break it down the way real fans do. From Lil Durk's journey and King Von's legacy to the hidden stories the media won't tell. This is where truth meets emotion. Every drop, every diss, every moment that shapes the culture. We're covering it with raw honesty and deep respect for the artists who built this game. So if you're about real stories, real loyalty, and real hip-hop energy, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and stay locked in with Rap Shockfire. Because here, the voice of the streets never dies. Microphone 100 points.